Thanks for logging on to myfoxhurricane.com. Just the type of map we like to see. No tropical formation expected over the next 7 days. Remember, we had Lorenzo out there, and as expected, that system, it was the wind shear, it was the dry air. It was just too much for that system, and it dissipated yesterday. So things are quiet in the tropics, but remember, we still have some season left. Here we are, middle of October, so we have to go all the way through the end of November. Of course, things start to get quieter as we get into November, but as we go through October, we watch some of these waves. They work their way across the Atlantic. And as they work their way into the Caribbean, that's where we can start to see some of that development. So what we're looking at is more of those, what we refer to sometimes as those homegrown systems, because they're closer to home across either the Caribbean or the Gulf. And notice when these develop, a very typical pattern is them to work their way to the north and eventually towards the northeast. Doesn't mean they're going to all work their way right over Florida. Sometimes they're working their way to the northeast of Florida, then eventually heading towards the northeast. The reason why is because typically by this time of the year, you're starting to see more of that troughing across the East Coast, which is basically cold fronts starting to push down across the southeast, push off the East Coast. So that will tend to steer any systems back to the north and eventually towards the northeast. That's that typical pattern as we get into this time of the year. Now, as we look ahead on the tropical cyclone outlook, we've been talking about this for many days now, that more of the models, those long-range models, are showing indications of something trying to form across the Caribbean. You can see those chances are higher as we head into really about next week, tail end of next week as well. That's why we're focusing in. We're watching these areas. We're recognizing hurricane season is not over yet. There's warm water down here. There's moisture in the atmosphere. So conditions are favorable that we could see something. Or where are we going to see something? Well, still too early to say, but we are at least seeing a number of computer models hinting at that idea. Here we are looking at the Fox model as we head through the weekend and into next week. We've got this wave working its way into the Caribbean. We've seen this many times now throughout the runs over the past several days. Continues to push into the Caribbean. Still, here we are heading into Monday. Looks like a fairly disorganized wave. So it's going to take some time, if anything develops, to actually develop. We'll look at another model. Here's the GFS. What we're looking at is just that spin in the atmosphere. So it gives us an idea, do we have something developing? Here you are looking at this as we head into Monday, Tuesday of next week. You're starting to see the indications of some rotation in the atmosphere. And then as far as this model is concerned, it's starting to pick up on this more and more. Now, I will tell you, when you look at some of the other models, they pick up on it. They just don't show it as strong of a system as what we're seeing with the GFS. So we're still not seeing great consensus among the various computer models, but we are seeing that general idea that we see some rotation, we see some lower pressure. You also notice as you look across the western Caribbean, you're starting to see lower pressure and you're starting to see some rotation in that area as well. So it's just telling us these are the areas that we're going to focus in and we're going to watch as we go through the next couple of weeks, and we will keep you updated right here on myfoxhurricane.com.